Hey, it's Liberty, and as someone who loves music and literature, I love it when they intersect in some way. I am a big sucker for Easter eggs and like intertextuality. I started listening to K-pop last year and boy have I been missing out. As well as the music being more like generally musically interesting than anything I had listened to in ages, the performances, music videos, the concepts are all just really visually stunning. I was very pleased to discover that many artists, like artists around the world, have taken inspiration from various books. And hopefully, if you like one or the other, there will be some great recommendations in this video. So I'm just gonna shut up and get right into it. SHINee's The Story of Light album series is based on their late member Jonghyun's favourite book, which is The Little Prince. Across 3 EPs and a repackaged album in 2018, they relate themselves in various ways as a group of 5 to various aspects of this novel. The title of one of the singles, Good Evening, is also a direct quote from the book. I personally think that having read the book does make the music more meaningful, you know, as they process their grief. The Little Prince is the most translated book in the French language. It's the story of a young boy who travels the universe. He is leaving his home planet and he's very much growing up and learning how to become an adult. The boy tells his story to a pilot that he meets when he crash lands in a desert. One of the beings that he meets is a fox who shows up in multiple music videos and is sort of a representation of friendship. In the novel, the fox asks the little prince to tame him so that they can sort of mean something to each other. There's also a lot of shared symbolism with regards to water in both the novel and in the music videos. And that is represented by the circle on the front of the album. In the novel, both the pilot and the prince come to realise that it's the walk that gets them to the water that makes it taste all the sweeter. You know, the hardships in life is what makes the happy memories stand out. I mean, the triangle on the front represents a mountain that when the little prince climbs, he realises he's all alone at the top. And the box represents, you know, intangible things like friendship and imagination. Just because you can't see things doesn't mean they're not there. And also the idea that endings can be what you make them, which is very much a theme in the novel. The next literary reference comes from GOT7 and their 2020 mini album, Die. The title track is called Not by the Moon, which is a quote from William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. I feel like everyone knows the plot of Romeo and Juliet, but it's very much warring, feuding families in Verona in Italy. Boy and girl from respective families fall in love and it ends tragically. The title comes from the part of the play when Juliet asks Romeo to swear not by the moon when he promises to be with her forever, because the moon is ever-changing. The lyrics of the song also talk about, you know, everlasting love and a last kiss, and the visuals of the music video very much fit in with this. It very much makes you think of medieval Italy, lots of columns, lots of gold, lots of white. There are even more explicit references to the tragic and in the music video. There's also a lot of colour imagery that Shakespeare has put into the play and GOT7 have included in the song. They do this homophone thing with like colour dye and die as in to die, and they talk about how someone has brought colour to their life and without them life is colourless. The next song is from the Queen, IU, and it is a B-side from her 2017 album Palette. This song contains references to Mrs. Dalloway, which is Virginia Woolf's famous novel. Mrs. Dalloway is actually mentioned by name in the chorus. This is not a title track, so sadly there are no sort of visuals to talk about with this one, but it very much feels like this protagonist is at a party having fun with a live and let live attitude, very much like Mrs. Dalloway. Mrs. Dalloway takes place in a single day in London in 1923 with flashbacks. It is a stream of consciousness novel, so you are getting sort of the inner monologue of all these characters with obviously dialogue and some omniscient narrator. It makes it such a unique read because you feel like you're getting the past and the present and people's thoughts about the future all at the same time. Clarissa Dalloway is the main character, but you get up to like 20 characters, I think, at different points. She is a society hostess. She is throwing a party that evening, and so she's getting ready for that, but she finds her mind being dragged back to a summer of her youth. She very much loves life and people and making happy memories. With all those characters being referenced, it really makes you think about the way that you affect other people's lives in small ways and in big ways, like walking past people in the street or like people that you've known since you were young. I am actually reading this book right now and I'm enjoying it way more than I thought I would. You know, if you think that stream of consciousness may not be your thing, try it. I promise it's worth it. Next is EXO. EXO's 2019 album Obsession contains a track called Jackal, which is a reference to The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. The whole concept, not just for that song, but for the title track Obsession, is about the duality of man, with EXO's evil clones, XXO, trying to usurp them. An absolute classic, The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is all about the duality of man and the dichotomy of good and evil that exists between all of us. The narrator is Gabriel Utterson. After his friend Dr. Henry Jekyll makes a will leaving all of his possessions to a Mr. Hyde should he die or disappear, his friend becomes concerned, especially when this Mr. Hyde has been linked to the attack on a child, the murder of a politician. Dr. Utterson decides to step in. I enjoyed it massively. Again, like, it really surprised me. I didn't think I would enjoy it, but I really did. It's interesting because there are theories that XXO shows up in some of their other previous music videos. I've watched a theory video. It was long and it was all about EXO's whole storyline, which is like massive and potentially links to like Red Velvet and other groups in the same company, and it's a lot. But I have to say it's completely feasible and I would totally be here for it if it was right. Next up we have IZ*ONE. I hope I'm saying that right, IZ*ONE. And their song Violetta, which takes inspiration from The Happy Prince by Oscar Wilde. Now, it is one of Oscar Wilde's stories for children, and I have a strange relationship with Oscar Wilde's stories for children because I love them. I think they're amazing. They tell, you know, moral lessons. They are beautifully told and engaging for people of all ages, but they massively traumatized me when I was young. And I'm speaking specifically of The Nightingale and the Rose, which if you've read it, is just like, I can't describe. Sometimes to this day, as a 26-year-old adult, I still tear up thinking about it. It's embarrassing. Anyway, The Happy Prince is all about a statue of a previous happy prince who would not let sorrow enter his palace. And from his position in the middle of the town square, the statue can see the suffering of his people, and he does what he can to alleviate that suffering with the help of a friendly swallow. I don't want to spoil it too much because obviously they're short stories. So Violetta is the song all about hope and realising your own worth. There are dance moves in the music video which were choreographed to resemble a swallow, and like falling gems and diamonds at various points, which comes from the story. It's also, as well as being a good song, it's also a very aesthetically pleasing music video. The final song I'm going to be talking about is NCT U's debut song, The Seventh Sense, which came out in 2016. It's hilarious to think that there were only 5 of them at that point, and now there are 23. There are many links to 1984 by George Orwell, not only in the music video and the lyrics, but also in the live performances. 1984 was published in 1949, I think, and so it was a sort of future dystopian sci-fi novel. This was a novel that was written to warn of the dangers of totalitarianism and also mass surveillance and like manipulation of the facts, and also the suppression of the rights of the individual and like blind loyalty to the state. The examination of the role of the facts within media and politics is particularly interesting and still relevant today, sadly. So Winston Smith is our main character, and he works at the Ministry of Truth, and his job is literally to edit the past. He rewrites history to change the narrative to fit whatever the state wants. A world where 2 + 2 = 5. So many more cultural touchstones come from this novel, like Big Brother, Newspeak, thought crimes. So in this song, NCT are leading a revolution. They're asking you to literally open your eyes and see what's going on, wake up. We've seen throughout history it is really easy to turn a blind eye to something until it goes way beyond control and it's too late. 1984 is literally the past to us now, but there are a lot of lessons to learn from this novel with regards to our own future, especially with fake news and like a cult of personality behind a political leader, putting them in control like that happened. In some of the live performances for The Seventh Sense, you can literally see people wearing 1984 on their shirts. Something I found interesting, not only in the live performances, but in the music video, is that some of them are wearing like masks and like things around their necks to pull up, which also, as well as protecting you from airborne diseases, will also like hide your identity. And sometimes they are literally, of course, inside boxes, which sort of represents that invasion of privacy, living in a huge surveillance state. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed that, do give it a little thumbs up. I make all sorts of videos about books, music, personality even, so do check those out if you would like to. If you like these songs, do let me know. If there are songs you think I would like but based on books that I haven't mentioned, do let me know also. Happy reading!